Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, we talk a lot about the different seasons as we move forward
Yes.
during what's become a very quick year.
A very quick year.
So the very first leg of the fall season is as we gear up towards Election Day.
Yeah.
In
right
November,
around the corner.
right?
Yep.
And
right
then
on.
after Election Day, we kind of segue into the holiday season.
Yep.
The last couple of years, if there's anything that you could say about the political posturing, the bitterness, the poor communication, the poor management, hopefully it's going to increase voter participation.
Yeah, that's a good hope.
And bring a lot of disenfranchised voters back to the ballot boxes.
Yes.
Couple that with the changing demographics, especially here in Moore County, and you've got younger voters who, and so many people who sat out some of the elections because they just don't think their voice is that important. And one of the rising demographics that we've always spoken about in Moore County on the shows has been the rise of military families and kids. And how the landscape of Moore County has absolutely positively changed.
Oh, yes, very much so.
So with that in mind, we are going to be speaking on the first half of the show with retired Lieutenant Colonel Ken Benway and retired Sergeant First Class Dave Miller, who are here to talk about a topic, Special Operations Speaks, where we've been, where we're going. And I read their news release or their press clippings actually at dinner last night. And I want you guys to talk about the beginnings of the organization, with the end result being that you're trying very hard to get part of that demographic, the retired veterans, primed for a more active role in our government. Is that accurate?
That certainly is. And first of all, thank you very much for having us in today.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah,
it's our pleasure.
Yeah, we're all about supporting veterans, urging veterans to participate in the political process. Let me give you some background on us a little bit. Back around May of 2012, several of us were on the telephone griping about the operational security breaches of the Obama administration as it related to the bin Laden raid. It was really unfortunate. A lot of highly classified information was put out to the public, much regard to the security of future operations and the families of the organizations involved. Anyway, we were griping about that, and we got to the point where we put $100 together and put a website out there called Special Operations Speaks, and in a month we had 100,000 hits. So we struck a nerve out there, and we pursued that concern to the point where Representative King from New York presented on our behalf a petition at the U.S. House of Representatives urging the Obama administration to cease and desist in terms of releasing classified information. So we kind of made a little bit of a impact there. Then Benghazi came along. So we really got involved there. And long story short, we ended up on at the steps of the Capitol in Washington, unfurling a scroll with 1,000 signatures of special operations retirees and veterans, to include 2 Medal of Honor winners and 24 generals and admirals, urging a special investigation of the Benghazi situation. That resulted in the establishment of H.R. 36, which put that on the table in the Congress, and finally Congress relented and put that together, and it became the Gowdy investigation, which in turn revealed the existence of an email server out there that was not lawful. Anyway, we try to mature ourselves a little bit and look at the long-term concept for Special Operations Speaks. And we came up with a concept called Vets in the Fight. And Vets in the Fight essentially are honorably discharged veterans who vote, who serve in public office, and who hold government accountable. And that's really our thrust here. We're kind of in the second phase of that right now, having done a lot of voter registration work in the past. And now we're looking for veterans to get into the fray, step into the public square, and bring duty, honor, country, and competence to that process.
Is the the process of getting some of the honorably discharged vets to get involved in the political process, it's not a partisan effort. I think you probably want to stress that as well.
Sure, that's correct. Although we want veterans to follow the Constitution as written and the Bill of Rights.
Right.
So that's the main criteria there. If we're looking at a Marxist bent, then we're not going to support that person. And we've had some fairly successful efforts there. Most recently, in 2018, November, we supported Representative Crenshaw, who has that iconic eye patch that you've seen on TV and whatnot. He's making a big splash as a young guy. And we also supported retired Lieutenant Colonel, Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz down in Florida.
Okay.
And Clint Higgins in Louisiana 3, District 3. So we've had some impact. We've been able to give them some good exposure on our social media, as well as contribute when we have the opportunity to have funds in hand.
You know, with all the, you started by referencing May of 2012, but fast forward to today, and the news cycle, whether it's Fox on one end or CNN on the other end, people are, unfortunately, maybe they're paying too much attention to the news, and it's mind-numbing, as I'm sure you agree. But I do notice that there are a lot of candidates that are featured who come from a military background, and it's becoming more in the forefront than ever before, or maybe we're just paying attention to it more now.
I think perhaps the latter. About 2 years ago, the statistics for the Congress were about 17% had prior military service,
right? As
opposed to the 1970s when over 75% had service. So I think people are starting to capitalize on the veteran. Today, people like veterans, unlike in the 70s. So people are capitalizing on that, and they work pretty hard.
Wasn't there just an election 2 weeks ago? I think McCready lost, but was highlighted as a veteran, just in local North Carolina politics.
Right. Well, I think you've got to have more than just a veteran credential behind you. You've got to have a real platform
that
people will resonate to. So
okay,
that's all part of the thing.
Okay.
Our part is to try to give veterans an opportunity to learn about the campaign process and step into the ring.
So what you're saying is just because you're a veteran doesn't mean you're qualified to run for political office.
That's right. But it's a pretty good vetting process, though. I think a person with an honorable discharge, that says a lot about that person, frankly, that you would take an awful lot of time to try to winnow out trying to get background information otherwise. So the veteran starts with a little bit of advantage in terms of credibility, and he needs to maintain that. He or she needs to maintain that.
Right.
Dave, what do you think about
Well, I think both sides have seen the, as Ken said, the purpose of using veteran status
right
for political gain.
Right.
So it is very important that not only we don't take it face value that just because somebody's a veteran that they are suitable for political office, but it is very important. And there's a transition because active duty military, by and large, shy away from the political scene for good reason. They can't be partisan. They can't use their position in any way.
Right.
So sometimes that lingers after they have retired from the military, and they're getting busy, getting on with their lives, and they don't really pay much attention to it in some cases. So our thrust is to kind of re-energize them, because this is for their brothers and sisters that are still in the military. It certainly has a great impact on active duty and National Guard and Reserves. So it's important for them to bring their skills that they've developed over the years to political office. And generally speaking, that's a great advantage.
I have a question. Is the military as split as the rest of the country when it comes to their politics? I speak to a lot of people, military, and I ask because I'm very curious.
Sure.
I get 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know what the landscape is that you see.
I think that the overall trend is a little bit towards center right, if you will.
Okay.
A little bit more conservative than you might think.
Okay.
And I think frankly, the Trump administration has done a pretty good job in keeping its promises. So I think that's enhanced Trump with the military, certainly.
Okay.
The last administration did not particularly like the military, frankly. Did an awful lot of things to stifle mission accomplishment. But that's been fixed so far with Trump. Anyway, that's just a personal view.
And is that I'll just play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Is that what you think the perception is of the country, of the electorate?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think people when they tally up the pluses and the minuses, I think the balance swings over a little bit to the incumbent.
Okay. How long did you serve?
I was 27 years.
27 years.
Yeah.
And Dave?
28 years.
28 years.
Active duty and National Guard.
So you guys have been through many different administrations, going back then, back to Clinton or George Bush, the first George Bush?
Oh, no, I went back to Nixon.
27. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I went to Vietnam. Yeah,
Yes,
67, 68.
You were young. Oh, my gosh. You had to be.
I was 21.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I was in 67, 68?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Seems like yesterday.
Well, it does. I mean, I graduated high school in 71. We were, our class was part of the draft towards the end of the war, I guess. It was pretty much towards the end. But you seem a lot younger than that.
Well, thank you.
That's why I'm surprised
Yeah.
that you go all the way back.
Yeah, sure do.
So the impetus of this started was with a political disagreement or a philosophical disagreement with the administration and the government in 2012. And it's mushroomed into, so there's a groundswell of support for the things that Special Operations Speaks espouses?
Yes, I would say so. We try to stay with the basics, and I kind of use the principles of duty, honor, and country, and those are the central principles of military service. Everything pivots off of those things. And then you add the competence gained through leadership experience in the military, and that's a pretty good package to have to put in the public square and to guide political actions and approaches and decisions, we think.
Are you guys working statewide, nationally, locally?
Yes.
All of those.
All of those.
We're probably better known in Houston than we are in Southern Pines, however.
Is that right?
Yeah, we've got a pretty good reach on the social media front. Until we got some deboosting out of Facebook, we were reaching 250,000 people a week. So that was one of our main links with people, and we're now trying to develop a little bit more of a presence here in Moore County, in North Carolina in general.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to do that by with our Vets in the Fight campaign bootcamp that we're going to run on Monday, Veterans Day, the 11th of November, 2019.
Okay.
And we're running that over at Mid Pines Resort, and it's going to be a day of learning the ropes of campaigning. How do you start a campaign? How do you plan for it? What are the pieces you need to pull together? Right. What are the points that are really... This is kind of a new approach to campaigning, too, in the last 8 or 10 years that people need to learn about. Okay. So hopefully we give the people who attend this course the tools to go out and plan, organize, and run a successful campaign.
So does Special Operations Speaks, do they get involved in financing?
We do, as we exist on donations, period. And
but you'll support and give financial support to candidates?
To selected candidates, yes. Yeah. We'll give them the opportunity to go through a course, then they go out in the field, and we watch how they perform. Once they establish a platform, right, we'll assess whether or not we're going to support them and to what degree. And the amounts can vary. Of course, we're limited by the Federal Election Commission on how much we can donate.
What's your track record been to date outside of this area with candidates? Have you had a lot of candidates run for office already?
We've had probably our hand in helping probably a dozen candidates over the last few years. The last couple of cycles. It's not a princely number, but it's a start.
Okay, no, it's a grassroots.
Sure,
I get it.
Very much.
Have you had more successes and failures, or would you say a lot of good learning experiences to make you better going forward?
Definitely learning experience.
Okay,
and the biggest part of that is to just keep an eye on, and that falls back to the accountability, holding our public office holders accountable, which includes candidates to see see what their platform is going to be. So we've learned to be a little bit patient, stand back a little bit, and wait for them to develop a strong platform. And then if that falls within if we have compatible beliefs, then we'll support them. But it doesn't end there. We continue to monitor and stay in touch with them as best as possible through their election. If they are elected, then through their term in office, we keep an eye on them and we let them know. It's important for everybody to whether it's the local school board or Raleigh or DC, to let them know that we are watching and we're listening. We are, by the Constitution, the government. So it's important for Americans to be involved, veteran or not. And one of the things that we hope to, one of the groups we hope to attract to the boot camp are not just the candidates themselves, but their campaign team, whether it's their chief of staff or manager or what have you. So all these play a vital role, especially if they haven't been through it before. It can be a labyrinthine system to try to understand starting from zero. So we hope to have a well-rounded group of people there from all aspects of the campaigns.
Okay. So I'm a layman. I watch the news like everybody else. I make my judgments. I read. I try to do the best I can and not listen to all the noise. And if I'm not using the right terms, correct me. You offer coaching. If you identify a candidate that you feel has legs. Do you guys then become do you become different than a political action committee where and it's a question I need to ask because some people will listen who might. I just have to throw it out there. It's a devil's advocate question. It sounds like you would be a political action committee because you have an agenda as opposed to it doesn't sound like it's broad-based. Anybody who would run, it's based on the principles that you're espousing.
We are, in fact, a PAC.
Okay.
We're a Chapter 527 PAC.
Okay, so I'm not so crazy.
No,
okay.
you nailed it. I probably should have said that up front. It just slipped my mind.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a focus.
Okay.
There's no question there.
Okay.
Now, as it concerns the boot camp, that's open to anybody, principally, of course, veterans, to get them involved, but whoever they want to bring along. And there's really no criteria involved other than first time and novices to the system. Okay.
We're going to come back in the second set. We're going to continue to talk about Special Operations Speaks with retired Lieutenant Colonel Ken Benway and retired Sergeant First Class Dave Miller. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our second set of All Things Moore County. We're going to wrap up our conversation with Ken Benway and Dave Miller, all about Special Operations Speaks. And I'm glad that you guys established a good floor and a benchmark in that first set. But I have a question to ask you. Yes, you're looking for candidates, and yes, you have a type of candidate or an agenda that you're trying to espouse, which is terrific. But as a layman, what do you make of the news cycle these days between the warring stations, Fox on one end, CNN on the other? Because I have very strong opinions that they're both ridiculous, and no matter who you listen to, it's like it's make believe. We live in a crazy world, and I think that the trust in our media and our trust in our political parties is at an all-time low.
I would agree with you.
Yeah,
certainly.
And it's gotten to the point. I was always a big fan of Fox News. It's just kind of my bent.
Yeah.
But it boiled down to the point where there are only certain personalities that I'll listen to anymore on Fox. Maria Bartiromo, I think she's top notch. She's a straight shooter. Charles Payne, Tucker Carlson, and that's about it. That's about it for me.
Okay, that's a pretty short list.
Then you add the additional noise.
You have a shorter list on CNN?
Jeez, I can't think of anybody offhand.
How about a production advisor or, no, I'm just kidding, a cameraman?
Yeah, the grip, right? The chief grip. Add to that the noise, the echo from the social media side of the whole thing. It just amplifies and really distorts so much of what's reported.
I grew up in the 60s and 70s. You guys did too. But have you ever seen our world, our communication, are so divided, so toxic as it is today.
No, certainly not.
No.
Of course, we were insulated from a lot of that just because of the technology of the day and we were growing up. There was just so much exposure that we could we had, and now it's 24/7. It is flat 24/7.
Okay, so how do you get through the noise, and how do you present your case, your candidates, in a way that the information can be perceived as real, unemotional, valid? I mean, we are overstimulated with garbage.
That's exactly what we are. We're overstimulated, and quite frankly, it's very difficult, and growing more so by the day. People can discern between what is real and what isn't.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we do is we vet our sources. We dig down and do our research.
Okay.
And we present our case in an unemotional, fact-based manner. And we try to. We don't agree with the mudslinging and all that. There's enough of that to try to dig through as it is. So we approach everything we do with simply providing the truth, and we work quite diligently to make sure that it is true. We don't work on hearsay and he said, she said, and so on. So that's one of the ways we hope to get through and build that confidence up in our audience.
Well, this is a good opportunity to come and speak about Special Operations Speaks prior to your boot camp. When is that camp going to be?
That's going to be on Veterans Day, Monday, the 11th of November, 2019, at Mid Pines Resort.
And Election Day is week before that, correct?
Week before that, yeah. We're looking into the 2020 elections with this boot camp.
Okay.
And beyond.
That's what I was going to ask. So this is sort of, it's still a grassroots organization.
Very much.
And you're trying to, and you guys are both Moore County based?
Yes.
Yes.
So
we have a third partner down in Florida, Colonel Dick Brower.
Okay.
Yeah, down on the Gulf. Yeah.
So you are sowing the seeds. You are starting that process. And
Yep.
Part of this coming here and speaking, and this is a very impressive expose, by the way. It does lay out the foundation and the vision, and people can go to your website to look at this.
Yes.
They certainly
By
can.
all means. We
Website
invite
is?
them.
SpecialOperationsspeaks.com.
Okay. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys coming in. I think the boot camp's a great idea. It's a great way to rally the locals. There's so many different groups trying to get the attention of the public, but you guys seem real focused.
When they get to the Special Operations Speaks website, there'll be a little button over there for the Eventbrite,
Okay.
so they can actually register to come to this event on the 11th.
Ken Benway, thanks for your time. Dave Miller, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
It was
us.
a pleasure speaking to both of you guys. We're going to be back in the third set. We're going to be speaking with some members of the Moore County Leadership Institute and about a project that they're doing in Moore County that I think everyone needs to hear about. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our third set of All Things Moore County, and today we have two distinctly different topics and different guests, but Dorothy, the Moore County MCLI, the Moore County Leadership Institute, has been around for many years, and they always adopt and take on a project where they're fundraising for people in the county less fortunate than others. You know, we've talked a lot on the show about Moore County as a tale of two counties.
Yeah.
The southern and the northern part of the county.
Yeah, it's two different worlds.
Yeah, and today we're going to highlight one of the groups from Moore County Leadership Institute and talk a little bit about what the Institute is and what it does.
Oh, okay.
Cyndi Fifield of Novae Design Group and I spoke about a week or so ago. And Cyndi's in the branding business, and it's not marketing, it's branding, and there's a difference, and she'll explain why.
Okay, good, because I don't honestly know the difference.
Well, so there's no surprise to me that this particular fundraising effort has caught my eye, as it has others, and it seems to rise above. There's a sense of awareness. Cyndi, I'd like you to talk a little bit about MCLI and the subject of the fundraiser that you're doing.
Yes, so MCLI did it a little different this year in the fact that they divided us into groups, and so there are actually 3 group projects happening at the same time this year. Our group of 6 chose to work with the homeless students in Moore County, the homeless and displaced students. Well, actually, we started with 3 projects and narrowed it down to 1, I should say. But this all came about because I met Tamara Chamberlain at Kiwanis at a meeting where she came and spoke on the issue at hand. And through that, Tom, one of my partners in the group, was working with the Sandhills Student Association. And so it all just kind of came together. But once we started learning about the need of these homeless and displaced students, you know, here in Moore County, the amount of students, I think it's over 300 is what we have in the video. It was incredible to think that these kids, being homeless myself at one point, were going without. So I know he just looked at me very shocked.
I sure did.
But anyway, so having a place for students to wash and dry their clothes, having clean clothes in general, changes your whole personality when you're out walking around. If you're walking around in dirty clothes, you feel dirty, you feel gross, you feel, you know, the smell starts to get there, and other people realize that. And teenagers are mean. If they want to admit to it or not, it naturally comes out.
Sure.
You know, with all the hormones already flaring around, let's throw in some dirty clothes on that on top of it. Or a kid that maybe just doesn't look par. Maybe their hair isn't brushed. They haven't been able to shower in a few days. So you throw in all these things into the mix, and you just start getting, you know, a child that could have been very brilliant moving forward, and now just is slowly slumping back because they don't know what to do. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Did this idea come around as part of brainstorming as to where you could make a difference, or was it a subject that was sort of put on the table and said, can you attack this? And Tom, I'll say good morning to you. Tom Velevis.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're a member of MCLI. You're a certified financial planner. You got involved in MCLI. Why?
Well, for those that don't know me, I'm not one to put myself out there in the community very much. I usually stay at work and work on the things that are in front of me. So it was a challenge to myself to kind of get outside my comfort zone.
That's important.
And even though I've been in Moore County for 35 years, I felt like being a part of this group would be a way of not only learning more about how the county operates, but maybe find opportunities within the community where I could be more involved. Right. And so it's been a lot of fun getting to know Cyndi and the 4 other members of our team. And good. As you were saying about brainstorming ideas, our group came up with several good ideas. We had to submit those ideas to the steering committee, and the steering committee determined which project we ought to pursue. And I believe part of that narrowing down process had to do with the fact that some of the things that we had come up with had already been done in the past. And obviously you could tell from Cyndi there's a lot of passion behind what we're trying to do. It was fortuitous that we got to know Tambra along the way, and the fellas that operate Sandhills Student Assistance. There's just a really strong network of people behind the scenes that I never knew about because I don't get out of the office very often. But there's a strong support network, and you can see in meeting Cyndi today, the other Cyndi.
But it's spelled exactly the same way.
Exactly. Which is, to just see that there's so many people in the community that are trying to make sure that no one falls through the cracks. And that's what I think is really important about what we're talking about.
So today. We talk a lot on the show about Moore County is a great place to live because the county provides nets to students, from the time they enter grade school to the time they graduate high school, and they try so hard to keep everybody sort of enrolled. It's hard to count everybody. But you and Cyndi are part of the MCLI group. But Cyndi Sakura, you and Tamra Chamberlain, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with these 2 individuals. Cyndi, I'll start with you. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. I got involved with Tambra Place because I'm a Moore County foster parent, and I was looking to try and do something for the kids that are coming out of foster care and are looking for a place to live. And I heard about the Young Women's Transitional Home of Moore County, which is how I met Miss Tambra. And
I think that's where I met I think through Myron Dice. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So I got involved, and we have formed our board, and we're in the process of fundraising to develop a home for 18 to 24-year-olds to live and get on their feet. They can stay up to 24 months and get some education behind them and get a strong support before they go out on their own. And through that, we knew the need of the fundraising of the washer and dryer, among other things that are needed at our high schools for this group of kids, and came to know that Cyndi Fifield was doing a fundraiser just for this project, and so here we are.
Thank you. And Tambra, you're a school social worker. Probably no one at this table is more attuned to the homelessness, the disenfranchisement of students, and it's kind of hard for a lot of people to swallow, because Moore County always has a reputation as a county, a well-to-do county, certainly better off than some of their neighboring counties. But there's poverty, there's disenfranchisement, there are kids who are homeless, who are shelterless. How can that be in 2019?
And
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And for homelessness in Moore County, because we are rural, but we are a very well-to-do county, we do have a lot of support. And the schools are doing wonderful things to help unaccompanied youth. But one of the things that are missing in doing research is the gap in services. We did look at host homes, and we do still have families that take kids in that they just take them in out and say, hey, come and live with us. Everything will be fine. But it's those kids and they're not bad kids. I want to dispel that myth. They're not kids that are in trouble. These are kids that are incredibly resilient. So they're from places that are abusive. They're subject to possible human trafficking. They're just resilient kids that if they had a stable place to live, but also had counseling on trauma, that would help them get to the place where they need to go. So for how I got started with doing some of the community forums was we decided to look at, through Pastor Stone at Community Presbyterian. We also talked with Southern Pines Methodist and Village Chapel. Those are the three main churches right now, and a West End Methodist also, where we've talked at and have done community forums. Pinehurst United Methodist also. So there's about 5 or 6 churches that have embraced this, and they see that the issue, because it's hidden, and it is hidden in rural America. And we have studies from Missed Opportunities from Chapin Hall and other indicators that show that without these transitional homes, these kids will fall.
Yeah. We had Myron Dice on the show. Each year he does something called Christmas for More. One of the things that Christmas for More does, it encourages the people who are going to donate or adopt a family for Christmas gifts to make eye-to-eye contact, to meet with the people that they're giving the gifts to, because it becomes more real. There are people who will anonymously donate here or there, but it doesn't maybe drive home the reality. Cyndi, the laundry aspect of this it seems so specific, and yet it's symptomatic of a much deeper problem than Tambra's talking about. But it's important.
It really
is.
is.
Who would think that dirty laundry becomes an issue? But it does.
Yeah, who wants to go, not to be TMI, but who wants to go too many days with the same underwear on to begin with, These children, it's what they're thinking about. It really is. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating.
Yeah.
And if we can come in and solve this one little issue where they can have a safe place to go and do their laundry, what's the harm in doing that, Tamra has a wonderful process of bringing the children in and be able to do their laundry without any other student even knowing that this is going on. And these children are able to, be lifted up through this. It's just a small part of the ministry of what Tamra already does.
For people who are listening, whether they're in the 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, everybody remembers how they felt about themselves in high school. And it's almost like an unfair caste system. And believe it or not, some of those feelings stay as maybe an insecurity, and you make it up as you go along. but it's always there. Going to a high school reunion can bring back a lot of bad memories or good memories. So it's it's a time of indelible impressions, I think is what you're saying.
It is. It really, really is.
Yeah. How you doing with the fundraising aspect of it?
Tom, how are we doing with fundraising?
Well, let's ask the financial guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going pretty well so far. We're only about a week in, and I'd say we're probably halfway to where we would like to be. A couple points about the project. The video that describes that's been out on social media.
A good video.
Very professionally done, and I think.
Where can people see it? I'm sorry. Where can people go to see it? Facebook?
So on Facebook primarily. I know some of us have tried to share it through Twitter or LinkedIn and some of the other places. The Moore County Chamber website has it posted there. I know they've tried to share it as well. So I'd say go into the Facebook and.
Or Tom, you have it on your Facebook page for your business.
Right. So Dreher Financial Partners, Novae, Cyndi has it on
we have it on
Novae
Novae Design Group. It's on my personal page.
Yeah.
It's been shared probably about 100 times at this point. So it's also on my YouTube channel for Novae Design Group. My Facebook page has both postings on it of the video. We did a direct upload. Well, I did it. And then we put it on YouTube as well to make it easier for people to view.
So you can go to Novae Design Group to see it. Mm-hmm. You can go to
Dreher Financial Partners.
Spell it.
DREHER.
And also on the Chamber.
Moore County Chamber.
Yeah,
Yes.
their Facebook page has it as well.
Yeah. This is the fundraising season right now, and there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of competition, and sometimes people will make a donation to an organization that spreads money across the ways, but this is so much more specific. But Moore County is a giving community, and Tamber, that's got to give you hope, even though you get to see some of the bitter reality on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, it definitely does. And without the help from, Christmas, Myron Dice and the Dices.
Great people.
They have every year the 26 to 30 homeless kids that we have at Pinecrest. They organize and rally and buy these wonderful gift bags that are just filled with love from their church, from Southern Pines United Methodist. Yeah. And this will be the fourth year that they're sponsoring. And there's other folks that have written research and looked on Buddy Howell from Community Presbyterian. And so many people have gathered just to not just help with the mission, but they see that there is an issue, and because they see that there's an issue, it's here, and these kids are phenomenal. They have 4.0 GPAs, some of them, and come to school every day with a smile on their face, but may have to work 30 or 40 hours a week to support their families.
Cyndi, how did you get to become a foster home for some of these kids?
I became a foster parent about 22 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I was a foster parent for about 12 years, turned my license in. One of my former foster children came back into the system, and she's now a teenager. And when I heard she was back in the system, I went and I've stayed in contact with her as if I may be a grandmother. And when she came back into the system, I found out about it and went and got her and reapplied for my licensure. But I will say that in dealing with her and other teens that have been in foster care, that move from place to place and maybe live in bad situations, that the need to be able to have clean clothes and a place to do your laundry, when they don't have that, it does cause truancy and bullying and self-esteem issues. Mm-hmm. And like Cyndi Fifield said, just to be able to walk around in clean clothes is going to boost your self-esteem right there. Yeah. And you're not going to have to worry, is someone looking at me different or wrong? But
if you lose kids in high school and they escape and they get outside of the nets, the bottom line is these kids sometimes don't become responsible citizens. They don't get on the tax rolls. They don't contribute to the county. So you're investing in the future by doing this. And if people ask why, that is so true. when does this fundraiser conclude?
I would try to answer that two parts.
Okay.
The first part, because of the MCLI component of it,
yes.
Our group has a self-imposed deadline in a couple weeks. We hope to have our fundraising completed for the Pinecrest project sometime in the next 7 to 10 days, and that way we can purchase and install the washer and dryer at Pinecrest, hopefully at the first or second week of October.
So it will be at the high school?
Right, at Pinecrest High School.
Okay.
The second part of the answer is that through one of our goals of our project is that if the project is successful, that it also could be sustainable. And it's really cool to meet Cyndi Sikora this morning, because she has taken it upon herself to do some things in Robbins the last couple of weeks, unbeknownst to us, and she didn't know what we were doing, and she's raised some money already to do the same thing at Northmore High School. Mm-hmm. And we've talked this morning about maybe working together because our group's goal was to start at Pinecrest because of the connection with Tambra.
Right.
But if once we got Pinecrest up and running, our hope was to go to Northmore and Union Pines, and then potentially to some of the other schools in the county, and therefore make our project a sustainable project.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so we may have a jump start on the second leg, and then beyond that, if our fundraising is as successful as we hope it will be, we're hoping that beyond purchasing the washer and dryer, that we may be able to supply the closet there with detergent, bounce sheets, an iron and ironing board, things of that nature.
We're winding down on time. I'm going to get my office. We're going to contribute.
Thank you.
Very moving. We can put some monies together so you can either get supplies or towards your the purchase of your initial washer and dryer. And we'll get that taken care of today.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure I leave you with the P.O. box for people can mail checks to, so you can post that.
Do that if you would, because we're running down.
So if someone is listening and would like to send a check, they can mail it to Sandhills Student Assistance. It's Post Office Box 2154, Southern Pines, and the zip code is 28388 for the downtown post office.
Thank you so much. They're putting the music on me. Unfortunately, Tambra, Cyndi, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week. This is a great cause. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. This is All Things Moore County.